Good evening, you're watching SG News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, a Grimsby charity worker is jailed after her greedy actions, according to the judge. Feeding the hungry on a Hull estate, anniversary celebrations for the UK LGBT community in the City of Culture, and keeping Grimsby in bloom. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Danny Phillips about celebratory swimming. Before that, a call for volunteers from Martin Estuary of Yorkshire Mesmac. A greedy charity treasurer, according to the judge, from Grimsby has been handed a 2-year prison sentence after swindling a rescue service. 56-year-old Roxana Bridgeland stole more than £24,000 from Cleethorpes Rescue Service over a 5-year period to 2012. She also sold the charity's £13,000 lifeboat for £6,000 on an auction site and claimed over £6,000 in gift aid. Bridgeland pleaded guilty to 5 charges of fraud and 3 of false accounting when she appeared at Hull Crown Court on Friday. Her actions forced the inshore rescue charity to close. Police are appealing for witnesses following an assault in Hull. The 39-year-old victim sustained serious facial fractures after being attacked by a known man near the Jet Garage on Princes Avenue. The incident happened at around 2:15 on Saturday morning. A man and a woman who were seen eating a chocolate orange outside the garage prior to the assault are being urged to come forward as they may have witnessed the incident. A new scheme to help feed struggling families has been launched on a Hull estate. The Fair Share Food Pantry on Bransholme will see people pay around £2 for a range of groceries. Councillor Anita Harrison, who's backing the drive, said it's a vital service for the community.
I go to quite a lot of houses on Bransholme for problems, and I know that certain people who are working are missing not eating at tea time so that the kids can have something to eat, and they'll have some crackers or something later on. That, you know, when you're working, or even if you're not working, crackers is not enough. You know, and in this day and age, we shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't be even having food banks in this day and age. And it really, really upsets me, the problems that people have because of government who really are thinking about the working class people.
People we talk to around the estate, certainly single people who are struggling and couples with 2 or 3 children are really finding it difficult in this current economic climate just to exist. Never mind to live a proper life. And as you go around the estate and look at people, talk to people, they've all got the same problem. And hopefully just a few of us getting together can help ease the situation.
We're hoping that we can do 50, the first 50, and then go on from there. We've advertised it, we've given leaflets out, and people are saying it's a good idea. So we're hoping, if it's a nice day like this and not raining, pouring with rain, I think people will come and stand and wait for them to come and get the bag of groceries. Now the bag of groceries is only £2, so I think £2, it's not charity, you're still paying for it, it's just a lot cheaper.
And other brands of cereal are available. Barton is to gain a new nature reserve. Unlike the other 2 nature reserves in Barton, or the 14 reserves in all of North Lincolnshire, this new reserve has calcareous grassland, an ecosystem that provides a vital habitat for insects and orchards. Ecologist Andrew Taylor explains.
Certainly the community woodland area is right on people's doorstep. It's somewhere that people can easily visit. It's a community woodland already, where we're looking to use the declaration of the nature reserves as an excuse to improve the management of the area, so we can start thinning the trees, creating new habitats and rides within the woodland, maybe increase the woodland flora as well. So this area is important for a number of wildflowers, including 3 species of orchids. So we have the common spotted orchid, the pyramidal orchid and the bee orchid that you can see in the summer, around about June and July time. A number of other wildflowers that are quite rare in the area, including the fairy flax, and we're on a hillside full of mouse ear hawkweed here as well, so quite a variety of wildflowers that people can see. I say that the main benefit is that it's something we don't have a lot of already. Calcareous grassland is one of the rarest habitats in our area. It's mostly confined to just old quarries and the occasional roadside verge like this. Our neighbours in Lincolnshire, the main county of Lincolnshire, they do have a number of roadside nature reserves already, and it's something we've always been lacking and something that we want to seek to increase in the future.
Improvement works have been completed in part of Bridlington. The second phase of the £500,000 scheme is finished on Queensgate from St Aidan's Road up to and including the junction with 40 Foot. East Riding Council carried out the works, which included unearthing the existing carriageway and reconstructing the road to its previous road level. Hull will be at the forefront of national LGBT 50 celebrations in July. This year marks 50 years since the decriminalisation of homosexuality in the UK, and the City of Culture will help celebrate the landmark by hosting the biggest LGBT celebrations ever held in the region. The Pride in Hull event will kick off the week's celebrations with exhibitions, socials and debates taking place throughout the week to celebrate freedoms gained and the city's role in the LGBT story. Andy Train is Vice Chair of Hull LGBT Forum. He says the celebrations have garnered international interest.
We've had interest from all sorts of places. We've actually seen that even in South America, people have been sort of checking out what we're doing and what's going on. It does help when we've got acts like Mark Armand and more announcements to come regarding other acts that are going to be performing. But it is going to be a phenomenal event and a phenomenal week with everything that's on offer, including all the wonderful things that City of Culture team are bringing to the table.
A sexual health organisation needs volunteers to help with a range of duties. The team currently has 18 active volunteers, and Martin Estuary of Yorkshire Mesmac joins me now to tell me how more people can get involved. Martin, thanks very much for coming in.
Hi.
First of all, what's Mesmac?
Mesmac is a Yorkshire-wide sexual health charity, and what we do is offer a range of services from training and volunteering to HIV screening, sexual health screening and pregnancy testing.
Now, sexual health, is that a big problem in Hull and across the region?
Well, Hull does have higher rates of chlamydia than the national average, but it's also got much lower diagnosis rates and screening rates. So it suggests to us that the problem is actually worse in Hull than even we can see.
Well, absolutely no judgments to be made here in any way whatsoever, but why is it, do you think, that the problem is greater perhaps in that city than it is elsewhere in the country?
Well, I think that's part of our job. We need to get out there and give people the message that it's not just about stopping pregnancy, it's about stopping things like HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea and syphilis.
Now, HIV we know about. For the last 20 years or so, there have been enormous improvements in the treatment for that, and people can live sort of long and fairly healthy lives and sort of tolerating that disease, as it were. The other ones, which are much more sort of ancient, what are the consequences if you don't catch these diseases early enough?
Well, I mean, something that's as easily treated as chlamydia in women definitely can lead on to infertility through ectopic pregnancy and also pelvic inflammatory disease. And because not very many women show symptoms, it can be left for quite a long time, which is why we have to encourage screening.
And a possibility of infertility as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gonorrhea?
Gonorrhea can have similar kind of consequences to that if left unchecked. And syphilis, if it's really left unchecked, can ultimately lead to death.
It goes up the spine into the brain, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and starts eating at your face as well. It looks very nasty.
So the point is to try to catch these diseases early, and if you do catch them early, it's a dose of, not probably penicillin's a bit old-fashioned, but it's a dose of antibiotics and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, pretty much. Done in different ways. If it's syphilis, it's usually an injection. Other ones are oral antibiotics, but it's those three are very easy to treat.
But the fact is that, certainly with chlamydia anyway, that the symptoms don't present very early, so how does one know if you don't have that presentation of symptoms?
Well, as with everything, the only way to know for sure is to get tested or get screened and see a professional about it. Your friend can't tell you, and whoever next door can't tell you, but people like Mesmac and other clinical places can.
So if there's any doubt, go and check.
Absolutely.
All right. What do you want volunteers for?
Well, we use volunteers in a range of services. We always want volunteers to do condom packing for us, making our sexual health packs.
Okay.
They also
and what goes into a sexual health pack?
A sexual health pack is a packet of 2 condoms, 2 sachets of lube, wrapped in a cardboard envelope with full instructions on the inside, and also contact information about us and our clinics as well.
Okay, and so it's just sort of getting these packages out, and how do you distribute them?
We distribute those through local pubs, clubs. We also go to events. We'll be at UK Pride that you were just mentioning earlier on. It was National Condom Day last month, and we'll be working up towards other events throughout the year.
Okay, you mentioned private. This is for all sexualities. It's not for any particular
Absolutely. And
initial.
Yeah, we do have a worker for men who have sex with men, but also a worker for black and minority ethnic groups, and a women's worker as well. But all adults over the age of 20 in Hull can access our service.
Okay, I wouldn't have thought ethnicity makes much difference, does it?
It has been shown that the statistics, black and minority ethnic people are more at risk of HIV infection than the population as a whole.
If people would like to come and volunteer and they'd like to help out, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can either have a look at our website, at all of our opportunities, and there's an online application form there. Contact me directly on 01482 291194, or they can drop me an email at m.story@mesmac.co.uk.
Okay, and it's not just one event or one particular time, this is all the time.
We want volunteers all the way throughout the year, and we're always happy to see new faces.
Martin, thanks very much for coming along. Good with that. Good luck with that. Let's hope everybody in Hull is healthy.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Martin. Join me after the break. Dan will bring us a roundup of the latest sporting action, and I'll be talking to Danny Phillips about a swimathon. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Dan brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and I'll be talking to Danny Phillips about a swimathon. Grimsby in Bloom hopes to grow its way to success in 2017, but to do that it needs volunteers. Grimsby in Bloom is a voluntary community outfit which aims to make Grimsby greener. The group has big plans for 2017, as Fred McNamara discovers.
Grimsby in Bloom are kicking off 2017 in style. The voluntary outfit are entering a competition and setting up wood workshops for younger people, all whilst continuing their mission to make Grimsby a greener place to be. However, more volunteers are still needed to take the outfit to the next level.
We're entering East Midlands in Bloom competition this year. We missed last year. Well, we're supposed to be having a rest and recharging our batteries, but we did a lot of work down here instead. So we didn't really actually get our batteries recharged. So we're entering East Midlands in Bloom 2017 in the small city category. So we've got a lot of work to do on our route, which we're just putting into place at the minute, where we're actually going to take the judges. We're hosting West Marsh Fun Day on the 8th of July, and that's going to be in this area as well. So we've got a lot of organisation to do with that. And then we're just going to have open events where people can pop in, have a chat, have a coffee, and just make people more aware of what we're doing and where we are.
Well, what we've done, we've had interest from the Scouts, Cubs and the Girl Guides regarding to woodwork projects. So we've actually put plans into the council to extend the garage that we've got at the moment to build a new wood workshop. Then the children will be able to come and spend morning or afternoon to do a small woodwork project, something to teach them practical skills, and also on the vein or the theme of doing things within gardening work or in the park. So we're just waiting for the final okay from the council now, and then we can go ahead to build.
Obviously, because you're looking at monetary sort of things that you need to put in place to get projects on the go, and obviously for the entrance for East Midlands in Bloom costing so much for barrier baskets and all the route planning, etc., volunteers give their time. And what we've got at the moment is that because the cutbacks of the council, volunteers are really helping us with their time, because we can actually accumulate time against requirements for council workers, so they will actually water the baskets during the period, and we will do some of the work that they would normally do within the Duke York Gardens and other Grimsby areas, so that we're literally paying back what they would need. So it's great that we can actually help out. We're not taking anybody's job, that's very important, But what we're doing is making sure that the things that we need to keep the Grimsby in Bloom campaign going will be done effectively, efficiently, but with the right people and the right insurances behind them. If they need something, for instance, if they're clearing the roadside, that they would need the insurances in place to do it safely and efficiently, but we can do other things where the insurances aren't quite so important. Volunteers are the lifeblood of any community project, because without volunteers work can't be done. There's only so many people who would be on the committee for Grimsby and Bloom, and some of them are of an age where they can't do a lot of physical work but can do planning. So young, active, vigorous volunteers who can put some time in are always a lifeblood for us.
With many milestones already achieved, more volunteers promise to grow Grimsby and Bloom towards even greater achievements. From McNamara, Estuary News.
And just a bit of breaking news coming in. We're hearing that the East Riding Clinical Commissioning Group has decided to close Hornsey Minor Injuries Unit, and it will be opening 3 urgent care centres in Beverley, Bridlington and Goole. That's a controversy that's been going on for some time. We'll have more on that tomorrow. Swimathon will be celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. It started as a pilot programme for swimmers in London, but it's expanded across the country. Nearly 700,000 swimmers have participated, raising £46 million for charities. I'm joined now by Danny Phillips of Links Inspire to tell me how people can take part in this year's event. Danny, welcome. Hello. Thank you very much for coming in. Swimathon, you better say exactly what is the event. We're not swimming from Grimsby to Holland or anything like that.
No, not quite as involved as that, thankfully. It's, as you said, it's a 30-year anniversary this year. We're running 2 events at our centre at Immingham on Saturday the 8th and at our new facility in Grimsby on Sunday the 9th of April. The event is, there's 3 different distances you can swim, 1.5k, 2.5k or 5k, which would be between 60 and 200 lengths of our 25-metre pools. 200 lengths? Yes.
OK, that's a lot of swimming.
It is, yeah. The events at Immingham starts at 1:30 on the Saturday or at 4 o'clock on the Sunday at Monday. You can enter as a team, so you know, if 4 of you decide to do that, obviously you can share the lengths up. There's swim hats for all participants, and there's medals for all participants as well that complete.
No point in medals for all participants. But is this competitive? I mean, do you have to be...
you don't have to be a competitive swimmer at all, no, very much so. Obviously it's a charity event, so people can come along and participate, and people have got their own sentimental reasons for doing that in some instances. Other people do see it as a real challenge, much like the London Marathon or many other charity events. There's a personal challenge for their fitness they can come in and try and do. It's all timed. We have lane counters at the end of each lane, so it's recorded and sent through to the website, proper official results and everything for people.
It's always raising money for charity. This year, who's benefiting?
It's Marie Curie. So yeah, obviously a fantastic charity. It's been for the last few years Swimathon that have done that. So we've raised locally thousands and thousands of pounds to contribute towards the huge total overall.
And now you said it's not competitive, but is it sort of if I can come along with my sort of gurgling, spluttering doggy paddle, I won't be blocking the lane from somebody else.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously the big facilities, we have around 20 to 30 people registered for each of the respective days at Immingham and at Grimsby. So you're not going to be on top of each other. There'll be an opportunity we're going to set people in the pace, so obviously if you're coming along and you're a competitive swimmer, you give us an indication of how quick you're going to be swimming.
So there'll be a fast lane and a slow lane, will there?
Yeah, across the full range, so people can obviously, we can swatch lanes throughout the event, but we'll have obviously lifeguards and staff on hand doing the line coating, so trying to make it as smooth as possible. But yeah, you certainly don't need to be a competitive swimmer if you want to just come and get involved. Like I said, you can enter as part of a team, you can do that as well.
And people, if they still want to get in touch, is there room for more?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not our event as such, we're facilitating it. So they go to swimathon.org is the website people need to log on to, and they'll be able to register on there. They get all the details, everything they need to complete on the day.
And appropriately for raising money for a health charity, it's an incredibly healthy thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously swimming, low impact, which is the great sort of selling point for it, but for fitness, for weight loss, various other health benefits, it's a fantastic opportunity to get involved.
Danny, thanks very much for coming along.
You're most welcome.
Here's Dan with all the other sport.
North Ferriby United host non-league giants Tranmere Rovers tonight. The villagers are fighting to maintain their National League status and are 6 points adrift of safety. The game kicks off at the Eon Visual Media Stadium tonight at 7:45, and you'll be able to hear from manager Steve Howsham in tomorrow's show. Hull City's Tom Huddleston will miss the Tigers' next 3 games after their appeal against his weekend red card was upheld. The midfielder was shown a straight red for a foul on Everton's Idrissa Gueye on Saturday during their 4-0 loss at Goodison Park. Marco Silva will now be without the former England international for their games against West Ham, Middlesbrough and Manchester City. A dream come true, that's how a 50-year servant of local football in North East Lincolnshire has described Cleethorpes Town's win at the weekend. Ken Vincent has been the physio at the Owls for the last 6 years and has seen the club evolve from having single-figure gates to now being in the FA Vase final at Wembley in May.
It's a dream come true for me. Dream come true. Absolutely brilliant. I can now go down there knowing that I'm going to go out at Wembley and sit and watch the team that I love and support. Well, I say we're going to win it, and we can win it. There's no question about that. The lads that we've got are bought into it. They are absolutely dedicated. They're true hard workers. There's a lot of talent in that team, and they can on their day beat anybody they want to beat.
Elsewhere today, Grimsby Town's game against Doncaster Rovers on the 1st of April is looking likely to be the highest attendance at Blundell Park this season. The away side have sold out their allocation for the game. Rovers have a 6-point lead at the top of League Two, while the Mariners are languishing in mid-table. Rugby now, Hull Kingston Rovers have been drawn to play against Lee Centurions in the Challenge Cup. They made it through to the 5th round by beating Sheffield Eagles on Sunday. And elsewhere, Phil Bentham has been named as the referee for Hull FC's clash with Wigan Warriors on Friday night. The reigning Challenge Cup winners travel to the Super League Grand Final winners from last year in a game which sees 2 of the early pace setters face off. And that's all for the sport.
Thank you very much, Dan. That's all from all of us tonight. If you have a story for us or any other way that you want to get in touch, then there is Facebook and Twitter, or you can email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31 553, or you can write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN 34 5BQ. Until tomorrow, from all of us here, good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV Weather. Wednesday, low temperatures with noticeable progressively heavier rain and stronger winds coming in from the east, making it feel even colder. A wet outlook remaining overcast all day. Thursday, a sunnier day with a humid and rainy start, showers dispersing as the morning progresses, skies staying clear for the duration of the afternoon. Feeling warm-ish with winds settling and drier weather. Winds risking rain southward, resulting in improved climate conditions and reduced bleakness.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Fred brings us a roundup of all the latest sporting action, and I'll be talking to Michael Scott and Melissa Cullen about a charity run in Africa. The Fire Brigade has teamed up with artists to create a mural promoting kitchen safety. Creative Start has produced a mural covering an outer wall of Grimsby Fire Station. The painting is inspired by 1960s pop art, including the work of Andy Warhol. The project involved Grimsby people coming together to unleash their artistic talents. Sam Delaney is the director of Creative Start and explains more.
The Fire Brigade was fantastic. They gave us they told us what they wanted, the message that they wanted. So the more information we can get about what the client wants, really, the better it is for us. And had a lot of input into this, so it helped us. They were very supportive. Also, they gave us the opportunity, which is brilliant. I mean, without them giving us the opportunity to do this and to trust us to do it, then we wouldn't be able to do these things. The community itself, I mean, we would like more people to get involved. That's the process that we're looking at doing through the next couple of years here. And the more people that can come down and help us do this, the better. And the more people can be involved. I mean, we get a lot of people come in and they say, they look at something like this and they're quite sort of taken back by it, and they think there's no way that they could do anything like this. But we want to show them that you can. Anyone can be involved in this. It's not something that just an artist can do. It's something that anybody can do. And we do teach people techniques, give them guidance, and we want people to come down that don't think that they can do it, if that makes sense. We come down here, like we come down here today, and every time we come down, we're impressed with what we've done. And it's quite difficult. As an artist, sometimes you're your own worst critic, and to see something that's not just one person's responsible for it, there's a group of you responsible for it. It does give you that feeling of pride, and also the fact that it has a message and can hopefully, I'm not saying it might not save lives, but it's going to make people think a bit more. Do you know what I mean? About in this case, kitchen safety. They may look at this and it may make them think just that little bit about. It's definitely made us think anyway. As we've been doing it, we've thought more about it. We always research these things to see how we can put it into the design. So that's obviously an added bonus. But in terms of the creative thing, is for us fantastic to work as a team and do something like this. It's something that will be around for hopefully 20, 30, 40 years, is great. It's a great feeling.
12 runners are about to embark on a charity mission to raise funds for Sierra Leone. I'm joined now by Michael Scott and Melissa Cullen to tell me about the 650-mile running challenge. Welcome, thank you for coming in. 650 miles, not going to do this in one go, I guess, are you?
No, we've got a relay. We've got 12 runners, so we're running 24 hours a day, starting in Hull, at the Prospect Centre. We're running down to Cambridge, where Wilberforce studied at St John's College. And we're also meeting the High Commissioner there as well. And
the Sierra Leone's High Commissioner.
They've been really supportive. And then from Cambridge, we head up north to Liverpool, to the cathedral there, and we've got a reception there. And then from there, we head down to central London, to the High Commissioner's office for a few drinks. And then we've got a buffet in London. Then we have a night at Heathrow and fly out to Lungi International Airport, which is Freetown, Sierra Leone.
Mm-hmm.
And from there we run 24 miles from a place called Aberdeen to Waterloo, where the children who've lost their parents through Ebola are now living, and we're supporting as a charity.
Melissa, I noticed that Michael emphasises the buffet lunch in London. It's quite clear what the priority
is. Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about the charity. What are you raising money for?
So we're, I guess, not so much we're raising money, but also raising awareness for orphans around the world. But I think the real heart behind it is the journey that we're taking people on, and obviously symbolic of running and taking that long distance and following a journey, and taking people along with us and communicating the story and trying to what the woes that have been suffered in Sierra Leone in recent years. And Mike, it's Ebola, I suppose, is what's really been horrible.
Absolutely. I was out there last February for 8 days, where we opened 2 orphanages, and they're basically bungalows without a kitchen, so they've now got a home. And where the children were living before was basically places where you wouldn't put animals in. So it's quite shocking, really. But the tour is called Hope Alive, so we're trying to bring hope wherever we go, not just in Sierra Leone, but other countries. I actually had a meeting with the Russian First Secretary about going into Aleppo, so who knows where this could go. So it's about hope. That's what we're trying to share.
If you're in discussions with the First Secretary of Russia about going into Aleppo, I think you're working a bit above my pay scale. That's the case. But it is, first of all, actually, Michael, could you give us details of how people can get involved if they want to, how people can find out more, and if you're not raising money, and how at least they can be more aware of the situation.
Okay, so we're starting in Hull, the Prospect Centre at 10:30 on the 1st of April.
Right.
So they can meet us there, which would be great to see people there. You can go onto our website, which is www.operationorphan.org, and there's a link there where you can pay money, put money into an account there through Virgin Giving. So there's various ways of doing it. And the great thing about the charity is we're supported by a company called Danbro, who fund all our running costs. So every penny we raise...
Running costs, it's very good.
Yeah, like that, yeah. Goes to children, which is a great way of marketing the charity.
Excellent. Who's doing the run? You two. Who else?
So we're a team of 12. I'm the only girl doing the run, and 11
It's
other...
a bit unfair.
I know. 11 other runners. So yeah, it's
And
kind of
are you all keen runners anyway? Is this something that you've done a lot of, or is this a complete novelty to you?
I think we're sort of a mixed bunch. Some, I guess everyone likes running, or they wouldn't be doing such an activity. But sort of mixed skill and speed.
So it's not a competition. You're not racing each other. It's
No.
going
Not
to
a
be
race, absolutely, it's not a race.
jovial, sociable. But
Yeah.
you're not going to, I don't think you can describe a trip to Sierra Leone as a jaunt, but it's
No.
going to be a.
I mean, it's a challenge, but also, yeah, it's not a competition. We're doing it.
Okay.
Obviously,
And you obviously know Africa of old, Michael.
Yeah, I've been out a few times. And, the guy, David, who's coming from Hull, has never really been out of the city almost. He's been to Amsterdam for a weekend, never flown.
We're not even going to ask about the trip to Amsterdam. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful run, and good luck with raising lots of money for those poor old orphans. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Here's Fred with all the sports news.
North Ferriby United manager Steve Halsham is set to sign a new contract with the club. He took charge of the Villagers at the start of the season following Billy Heath's departure to Halifax Town. They've been fighting bravely against relegation in their first ever season in the National League and are now 8 points from safety with 7 games to play. They lost 4-1 to Tranmere Rovers last night, and following the game, Halsham told us that he expects to sign a 1-year extension to his deal earlier this week or next.
I've come to enjoy myself here. I knew it was a big task. You know, my biggest task now will be keeping hold of these players because they're a young side, and you know, me and Darren have enjoyed every moment here, and you know, we're delighted to, you know, we've just got to put pen to paper. Vocally, I'm saying yes to the deal, so I've just got to put pen to paper now.
Elsewhere, Hull City head coach Marco Silva says he'll continue to focus on his team and not the situation at other clubs in their relegation battle. The Tigers are aiming to wipe out a 3-point deficit to the sides that are currently safe. Next up, they host West Ham on Saturday. Before that, a number of City players are on international duty this week. That begins with trio David Marshall, Alan McGregor and Andrew Robertson, who are all part of the Scotland squad that face Canada later. Grimsby Town manager Marcus Bignut has indicated that his squad need to be ready for a tougher challenge next season. With 8 games of their first campaign back in League 2 remaining, the club are 7 points away off the playoffs. He's warned that his town players must answer the questions that the 2017-18 season will throw at them. Bignut will be taking his players to Accrington Stanley on Saturday for their latest League 2 clash on the road. He said it will be difficult, but he's confident the team will be ready for the match. Kick-off is at 3 p.m. Hull FC head coach Lee Radford feels this Friday's visit to Wigan Warriors will be a good indicator of the team's current position. Both sides head into Friday's clash set in the upper reaches of the league standings, with the Warriors currently topping the pile and Hull sitting in third. The Black and Whites have won their last 3 games in Super League, with the Challenge Cup holders aiming for their 4th in succession with Wigan, missing a few key players. Radford is hoping to sustain his team's initial success and says Friday will be the acid test for his men. And finally, the Irons will travel to County Ground next month. They'll be playing against Swindon Town on the 22nd of April. Kick-off is at 3 p.m. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks, Fred. Should mention that Very Long to Africa will be starting in Hull on the 1st of April. If you'd like to talk to us, Facebook or Twitter, email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 0147231 5553. Do get in contact with us. We love to hear from you. Until tomorrow, good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Thursday's weather will see sunny spells. There will be a chill in the air with brisk winds throughout the day. Max temperature 11 degrees Celsius. Continuing to Friday, there will be light winds during the day, with afternoon sunshine. Chances of overnight frost, the max temperature will be 10 degrees Celsius.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Good evening, you're watching SG News, I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, an East Riding medical unit is set to close, a funding boost for Hull's Central Library and fire safety messages through art in Grimsby. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Michael Scott and Melissa Cullen about their charity run. Before that, Trevor Parkin tells me about a new campaign to help smokers quit across North East Lincolnshire. The minor injuries unit in Hornsey is set to close. The closure is part of plans to transform urgent care services across the East Riding. East Riding Clinical Commissioning Group has agreed to create urgent care centres in 3 locations, but 6 minor injuries units will close as part of the shake-up. Councillor Barbara Jefferson of Hornsey Town Council says the decision will be a devastating blow to local people.
Here in Hornsey, many people have come to live here because of the Hornsey Cottage Hospital. They've realised that the excellent care they get here, and 4 years ago 1.7 million was spent on it, actually giving it modernisation, making it look attractive, making you feel as though you were coming into somewhere that you could sit and wait for qualified staff. That's going to be a very big miss to the people that I represent, and I think it's deplorable that that group of people are able to say your MI unit will close. And I'm not going to leave it there, quite obviously. I'm going to take it to the committee which I sit on at East Riding, which is the Health and Wellbeing Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which is meeting on the 4th of April. And I'm hoping there that they will at least say, we think that we should take it to Jeremy Hunt, who quite clearly is the Health Minister.
The nearest one to Hornsey is in Beverley, which is 12 miles away. So it's obviously a 24-mile round trip. Public transport is limited. The cost of a taxi is extortionate. And who knows, Auntie Beryl down the road, who doesn't have a friend, doesn't have a neighbour, wouldn't be able to get a lift, wouldn't be able to afford a taxi, and yet she's fallen over and hurt herself. If she's in Hornsey, what, 3 or 4 quid to the hospital? To Beverley, you're talking, what, £25?
And in a statement issued to SG News, Jane Hawkwood, Chief Officer at East Riding Clinical Commissioning Group, said, "We have listened to what people have said during our consultation and take very seriously our responsibility to consider the issues raised by our population alongside local health need. This is why we're introducing a range of enhancements to our original proposals. As part of recent changes to community health services, 8-to-8 centres are being introduced in Driffield, Withensea and Hessel. These centres will be open from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. and will focus on providing a range of planned and proactive community care services. In addition, as a response to the consultation, the 8-to-8 centres in Withensea and Driffield will have some day urgent appointments made available for people to book in if they have low-level minor injury issues. Parliament is still in lockdown as of 5:30 after a security incident this afternoon thought by police to be related to terrorism. Estuary TV managed to contact Melanie On, MP of Great Grimsby, a little earlier this afternoon. She said MPs had been gathered in the chamber and were being treated very well. National literacy charity Beanstalk is expanding its reach on the Humber. It's already been active in Grimsby, helping school children improve their literacy skills, but new statistics have resulted in Beanstalk now covering the Humber area. Experian and the National Literacy Trust have conducted research that shows that Humberside is affected by a literacy crisis. Kingston upon Hull North is ranged as the area with the 11th greatest need for literacy improvements in the entire country, followed by Hull East at 28th, Hull West at 30th, and Great Grimsby at 32nd. Mandy Tomlinson from the Yorkshire and Humber division of Beanstalk explains how the charity will help young people.
What we do is, with children in school, we provide volunteers who will talk to them, listen to them read with them, discuss the content of the book, searching questions like, why do you think the character felt like that? Where do you think the story is going to? It helps their writing skills as well. And then we play games with them, but still while having an ongoing dialogue, so they're expanding their vocabulary. And we do that by facilitating the local community to help their own, if you like. So all our volunteers come from surrounding areas, and they're just keen to help the children. And we make that work by matching up with schools that have perceived that there is a gap in what they can provide at this time.
Police have launched a fresh appeal for information following an incident in Grimsby. 3 men attempted to rob a woman in Fairbrother Street on the 2nd of February. One of the men grabbed the woman and went through her pockets. Nothing was taken. All are said to have pulled their hoods over their faces. 2 men, aged 18 and 22, were arrested in connection with the incident, but police are keen to trace any witnesses. More than £243,000 has been awarded to Hull Culture and Leisure Library Services. The funding will be used to create a space within the Central Library where people can explore their creativity in the arts, sciences and technology, independently or collaboratively. There will also be mobile resources to create pop-up maker spaces, including the Big Malarkey Festival in July. The award of £243,783 comes from the Library's Opportunities for Everyone Innovation Fund, and the James Rickett Library Trust is providing a further £45,000. Campaigners attempting to save a community space in England's largest village say their campaign is progressing well. The Cottingham Civic Trust is hoping East Riding Council will sell the building to them for a nominal fee, as the council has indicated that it no longer wants the hall. Catherine McClure, chair of the trust, says the petition is going well, but more signatures are needed before the trust presents its business plan to East Riding Council.
That is going very well. We've done it online, which has got quite a few hundred signatures, and that went very quickly. But we've got it in the shops, and it's still in the shops in Barker's and Pullens and Smiths and so on in the village. And we've got over 1,500 signatures, and it's still growing. They're still coming in. So that is really, really good. And we want to present that petition to the East Riding at some point when we reckon we've got enough or when the time is right. So at the moment we're still collecting signatures. So anybody who wants to sign, go into the shops in Hallgate and find the petition and sign it.
More than 50 people have responded to a survey about child and adolescent mental health services in Hull. The research was launched in mid-February by the Patients Champion Health Watch to gauge how families and professionals view the specialist service ahead of an inspection by the Care Quality Commission. The deadline for submissions is the 31st of March, and the survey can be completed online via the Health Watch Hull website. Cancer Research UK has launched a new campaign to publicise the effectiveness of local stop smoking services. And I'm joined now by Trevor Parkin of North East Lincolnshire Council to tell me more about the campaign. Trevor, welcome. Thanks very much.
Good evening.
How are you? Healthy, I hope.
I'm fine, thank you.
Righto. Now, your job as constantly the cancer charities work is to try to stop people in Grimsby or in North East Lincolnshire smoking. Do North East Lincolnshire people smoke more than anybody else?
Yes, we do have sort of very high rates of smoking in North East Lincolnshire. I mean, ourselves and Hull are both in the top 10 highest in the UK. And as a consequence of that, I mean, what we do have is sort of very high levels of respiratory disease, cancer, lung cancer, heart disease and stroke. So you know, it is very much of a concern to us. And I mean, smoking is still the biggest cause of preventable ill health in the UK. And just as a figure, we know that that on average 8 people a day are admitted to Grimsby Hospital with smoking related ill health. So, you know, it is a serious issue in this area, and that's why we welcome the campaign by Cancer Research UK.
Why do people in Hull and North East Lincolnshire smoke so heavily then, so much more than people across the country?
I think a lot of it goes back to the tradition of fishing communities, you know, where smoking, I think, was very common. And I think once you have a lot of smoking within a community, young people are much more likely to smoke if your parents and grandparents smoke. So it's something that's sort of historical, passed through the generations. And although numbers are reducing here, we're still well above what they are national.
Is it young people taking it up, or are all the smokers a bunch of old crocs anyway, coughing their way around the town?
Well, I mean, we have been fortunate in recent years, and is that there has been a dramatic decline in young people actually taking up smoking, which is really encouraging. But I mean, one of the difficulties, of course, with once you take up smoking, because it is so addictive, is a lot of smokers find it very difficult.
Yes, I'm told it is habit forming. That's what I was going to. Your campaign, how are you helping people to give up?
Well, I mean, the campaign is really encouraging people to use the local stop smoking services, because we know how difficult it is to quit, but actually using a local service can make it 3 times more likely that you will succeed to quit. I mean, they can offer, apart from free support, they can offer free nicotine replacement products, they can offer access to medication, and just that sort of general support they can do. So as I say, I mean, about 600 people a year actually quit successfully with the service every year.
How can people get in touch with these services?
Well, they can simply ring the service on 01472 325500, or if they simply go online and type in local stop smoking services, they can then sort of click on that link, put in their postcode, and it will bring all the details to them.
And there's one final thing for somebody trying to give up like me. How about e-cigarettes?
Well, I think there's been a lot of misconception about e-cigarettes. A lot of people think that they are as harmful as cigarettes, and that's simply not the case. I mean, there has been a lot of work recently by Public Health England and the Royal College of Physicians which says that they are substantially less risky than cigarettes. I mean, they put a figure on there, at least 95% less risky to health. So, I mean, we'd certainly encourage people, you know, if they're struggling to give up nicotine, to ditch cigarettes and switch to e-cigarettes. I think that would, you know, certainly for a lot of people, that is an answer.
Trevor, thank you very much. Good advice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Join me after the break. Fred will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and I'll be talking to Michael Scott and Melissa Cullen about a charity run to Africa. Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Richards. In the headlines tonight, shining a light on Hull's cinema heritage, unified GP surgeries across Hull, and over 36,000 shoeboxes exported from the shores of Grimsby. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be joined by our very own Luke with the latest news from the City of Culture. Before that, Richard Green and Alex Simpson and the story of aviatrix Amy Johnson through music. The MP for Great Grimsby, Melanie On, has been giving her reaction to the attack on Parliament yesterday afternoon. The attack left 4 people dead, including PC Keith Palmer. 6 of the injured are still being treated in hospital. Ms On told Estuary News what it was like during the security lockdown in the chamber of the House of Commons.
It's very difficult, you don't know what's happening outside. We had limited information through our phones and iPads. There were small televisions, so some colleagues were able to follow the news. But the strange thing was, I think, being encased within the chamber with something happening so close, but really feeling quite separated from it. So actually it made all of us, I think, feel a lot safer that we were inside the chamber and away from danger. However, it was particularly concerning not knowing what else the police were looking for. At one stage they thought that there might be an explosive device, at another stage they thought there might be another attacker, and so we were all prepared really for something else happening. So it was quite a relief when we were allowed to leave and leave safely. Our staff and the staff of the house also were able to leave.
And Humberside Police has said it's reviewing all security in light of yesterday's incident. The Assistant Chief Constable of the Force, Andy McDyer, said that he'd be reviewing the deployment of his officers. A plan to redevelop Hornsey's South Promenade has attracted nearly £3.8 million worth of funding from the government. The Department for Communities and Local Government announced the award earlier today. The plans are part of a wider drive to regenerate the area. They include making the promenade safer for visitors, providing new berths for leisure craft, and building a cafe, shopping space and an education room. Jane Everson, an East Riding of Yorkshire councillor, said the scheme will help to strengthen Hornsey's tourist trade and secure the town's fishing industry. A new literacy charity was launched in the Humberside area today. Beanstalk aims to help overcome the area's literacy crisis, as recent figures show that Grimsby and parts of Hull have the greatest literacy problem in the entire country. Last year, 39% of children left primary schools unable to read to the expected level. The new charity aims to work directly with schools to ensure that their pupils have the best support to reach their potential. Mandy Tomlinson is from the charity.
It's about finding material that they're interested in. So we provide a selection of books that Beanstalk has collated that are not the school reading schemes. If you're a little bit behind your friends in class, you don't want more of the same. You don't want to see that that's the book they read 2 years ago. So we will use books that are chosen, we will use comics, we will go to things like football reports. There's a whole spectrum of things that are of interest to different children. It's honing in on what they like, hooking their interest. You maybe start with a discussion around the topic, and then there's no harm at all in using the local library to supplement it with things that that child is really going to get hooked by.
4 GP surgeries across Hull are to come together to ease pressure on hospitals. The scheme, which starts on the 1st of April, is an attempt to improve access to appointments at GP surgeries and provide a wide range of services normally available only in hospitals. We spoke to Dr. Ross Davis, GP at Newhall Surgery, who's leading on the Modality Partnership project.
We are joining 4 practices in Hull, so that's Newhall Surgery, Faith House, Springhead and Newland Group Practice. We're joining together to work as one organisation, and we are joining too with an organisation called Modality Partnership, who are a group of GPs in Birmingham. So we're joining with each other and with them to work together to provide better care for our patients. So in time, the things that we're looking at providing are perhaps some of the things that patients might now go to hospital for their care. So we understand that actually it can be easier for patients to come to their GP for those services. So if we can think about services like, as I said, dermatology, perhaps gynecology, there are other examples of that, cardiology, tests and investigations that you might have to go to hospital for. If we can make that more local for people, then that will be better for them.
New light will shine on Hull's hidden film past at an event this weekend. A 3-day conference at the University of Hull will celebrate the contribution of Hull and East Yorkshire to British cinema and television. Hull, City of Cinema, will see 3 leading British producers with local links give the lowdown on their careers at the festival. James Zbrowski, lecturer in film and television studies at the university, is in charge of the project. He says the industry is growing in the area.
There's a lot of different exciting things happening, not only film production, where lots of exciting things are happening in the region with films being made in and around Hull, such as Dad's Army last year and a film ID2, which we hosted the production of on campus. Also, exhibition is a big thing. Hull Independent Cinema are making cinema, independent cinema happen in Hull, and that's great too. So just sort of the whole film culture is really developing in Hull, I think.
And the festival takes place at the University of Hull, Middleton Hall, from Friday until Sunday. Acclaimed producers Jeremy Thomas and Chris Hees will be at the event. Now, more showbiz. A musical about aviatrix Amy Johnson and her solo flight to Australia is coming to the stage next month. And I'm joined now by Richard Green, the show's creator, and Alex Simpson, who was in the original production back in 1975. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in. Before we go any further, back in 1975, there's a little bit of a long gap between the first run and the second. What's it like coming back and returning to this old work?
There's quite a few of the people, well, 3 people out of the original production are in this one, so it's great to get together again 40 odd years later.
And neither of you have changed a bit?
No.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that. You were a young dancer then.
Yeah, as I've got older, I've got bigger.
Really?
Okay. Well, that's very rare. First of all, let's get the details. Where's the show going on and when?
Well, it is a concert version. It's not the actual production of the show. But Alex, let's get the clarity of the...
We go open at the Guildhall on the 3rd of May, and then on the 4th of May we're performing...
This is Guildhall in Hull, I should
Guildhall, Hull, yeah, of course. And on the 4th of May we're at the Sowerby Amy Johnson Museum. And then the 5th and the 7th of May we're at Richard's Studio, Park Street.
Performing Arts Centre.
Performing Arts Centre.
Again in Hull.
Again in Hull, yes.
Now, Richard, you wrote this.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Just to tell me what it was. I know you're a Hull resident, so you have a connection with Amy Johnson already because she was a Hull girl. But what made you think of Amy Johnson as the subject of a musical?
Well, it goes back in the 60s. I was busy writing musicals, and I kept sending them to London, and I kept getting the rejects. And then about early 1970s, I got a call from an agent in London. It was called Mark Berlin, and it was London Management. And I went up to see him, and he said, "Look, Mr. Green, there's nothing wrong with your scripts, but to really get it on, you've got to stage it yourself, and then you'll get people to come and see it." So I went home, I thought, well, it's okay, I'm saying stage it myself, but I haven't got the money to stage a musical like that. I need a star, somebody from Coronation Street or something. And I thought, well, the only star I've got is Amy Johnson. She's well known. She'll draw an audience. So I got with a friend called Ian Butler, and we started writing the musical, which took us a couple of years. And then in 1975, I formed my own company and put the musical on.
So effectively, this agent in London said, if you want to be a writer, you also have to be a producer, an impresario, a director, a musical director, a casting agent, and a marketing man, and everything else.
Yes, all the rot. Yes, yes.
Splendid. How encouraging.
Yes. Very. And the thing is that, you know, we did do it, and we did get people from London, and they were very keen. One company in particular was very keen. It was all about to sign the contracts for it to go into the West End, and then damned Andrew Lloyd Webber and Alan Ayckbourn, curse them. They'd written a musical called Jeeves, musical on
P.G. Woodhouse, yeah.
Yep, and it was a terrible flop. And so this management said, "Oh no, Amy Johnson, 1920s. No, we've decided we've gone cold on the subject now."
Well, 40 years later, more than 40 years later, perhaps we can go hot on the subject again.
We are.
Alex, are you playing the same part you played back in the 1970s?
Unfortunately not. I was a dancer in those days. Well, I'm no longer a dancer. I'm more your old-time sequence dancing now than Hans jazz.
Right.
I'm playing Mr. Johnson, Amy's father, which Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are just a bit of light relief in the story of Amy.
So she had comical parents, did she?
Well, she does now.
It's a fascinating life she had, of course, and the story of the musical ends when she makes that wonderful record-breaking solo flight to Australia.
Well, no, it doesn't actually. That's the interval.
Oh, I beg your pardon. There's a second act.
She flies to Australia across the interval.
Oh, I see.
The second act is what happens after her flight. It was a problem. I mean, Amy Johnson's known for flying, but how the hell are you going to fly for somebody in a theatre?
You can't really set much drama in a cockpit flying
exactly.
for hours and hours and hours.
So I really wrote the musical about Amy Johnson, the woman, her successes and her failures, her disastrous marriage and that sort of thing.
Where can people get tickets?
They're available now from Park Street Performing Arts Centre.
Brilliant. Gentlemen, thank you
just
very
ring.
much. Have a wonderful show. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Join me after the break. Fred will bring us a roundup of all the latest sports action, and I'll be talking to Luke of Hull City of Culture. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Fred brings us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and Luke will be joining me on the sofa to tell me what's happening in the culture capital. Christmas may be a distant memory for most of us, but for the volunteers of Operation Christmas Child, it's always Christmas. The group has broken the record for the most shoeboxes exported from Grimsby. Almost 40,000 shoeboxes have been put together and sent to countries including Liberia, Romania, Ukraine and Moldova. The group collect, organise, pack and send shoeboxes full of toys to children in these countries. Denise Johnson of the group says she's overwhelmed by hitting this milestone.
It's such a fantastic support that we've received from all around the area, Grimsby and Lincolnshire. We couldn't have done it without those people, and the groups, the schools, the churches. We've had a phenomenal success throughout all of last November and with the online donated shoeboxes as well in February. So it's just been absolutely a wonderful finish. Well, I just think it's those people that have responded. They've looked and seen, they've come in to visit, they've heard us on the radio, they've seen us on the TV like yourselves, and it's spreading. The word is getting around, and when the people come in and see all the things that we do in our warehouse, then they actually get it. And they see the photographs that we've got along the corridor of the children that are in desperate situations in those parts of the world. We are so fortunate here that we have a lot to be thankful for, but those children are really in need. And it's the public themselves that have softened and they've seen just how we achieve things in our warehouse. So we've got a tie here that it's a headband, but it's been originally a tie. There was 6 items made from one tie, which was donated by Peter Levy on Look North, and that has brought in so many ties, and it's talked about so much now that we're hoping that celebrities will correspond, join in, and we've got people bringing them in by the handfuls. I just think it's actually the knowing that there's lots and lots of people behind us. The support really boosts us up. It really does. It's just wonderful for the community in itself, how they're just reaching out to us, and we're doing our best to provide and to help and give those shoeboxes to the children who are really will just be absolutely overjoyed. That's what it's all about. It's the children.
And I'm joined now by our very own Luke with his weekly roundup of Hull 2017 news. Luke, welcome.
And our very own Hugh. Happy Thursday as always.
Happy Thursday, Luke. What's going on in Hull?
A busy week in the world of City of Culture. This afternoon, Hugh, a new plaque has been unveiled, part of the Lord Mayor's 100 plaque centenary scheme. This afternoon in the form of Sir Peregrine Pelham.
Who was or is Sir Peregrine Pelham?
A prosperous merchant of Hull, apparently, before becoming town sheriff back in 1636 and once an MP for Hull in 1641.
And he resisted Cavalier attempts to take the city in the Civil War. Not the one mentioned in The Hypocrite at the Gatehouse and all that sort of thing, but maritime attempts by the Royalist Navy during the Second Civil War, as it's known, in the later 1640s.
Fantastic. So quite a prominent figure for the whole story.
He was. If you're, it depends what side you were on, I guess.
Yes, true. Well, we'll be bringing you a full report in tomorrow's show because Dan's been out today to the press call, so we'll bring him over that story
Look forward
tomorrow.
to seeing that.
Kicking off in Hull tomorrow, Hugh, a rerouted project at the Humber Street Gallery. More than 25 international artists are going to descend on Hull's Marina at the Humber Street Gallery for a new festival as part of the rerouted programme. So that kicks off tomorrow morning, running through until Sunday. And it's an art takeover involving live performance, installations, digital media and talks.
Why don't anybody just do a painting anymore?
I know.
Anyway,
it's not all about paintings, apparently.
That sounds fascinating. That sounds wonderful.
And it kicks off tomorrow with Give Me a Sign by Mark Waddell, and apparently a number of street signs will be paraded on placards through that area and surrounding the gallery, and then they will be moved into the city centre.
How confusing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just what Hull needs, more traffic confusion.
Hugh, are you a fan of jazz?
Depends what kind of jazz. I'm not a fan of modern jazz.
Billie Holiday?
I am definitely a fan of Billie Holiday.
Well, she's not part of this performance, but she's one of the great jazz artists, if not the greatest.
She's not been with us for some time.
True. Bishop Burton Hall tomorrow evening at, let's have a look here, 7 o'clock.
At Bishop Burton Hall?
That's right, yeah.
Lovely.
A jazz evening with Wendy Kirkland and her trio, celebrating the music and songs of Diana Krall, Nina Simone and Shirley Horn.
Nina Simone also is favourite.
My Baby Just Cares for Me.
I'm very glad to hear it.
Great track.
Excellent.
£15 for a 2-course homemade supper.
Yeah,
so you can get a bit of food.
£8 just for the music and 15 quid for a 2-course meal. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. Good value for money, Hugh. Now, moving away from Hull, but still cultural nevertheless, I'm so excited to announce that there's going to be a musical tomorrow evening on a certain showbiz icon called Scylla. No surname required.
Black.
Yes. Scylla and the Shades of the 60s at the Grimsby Auditorium tomorrow at 7:30, telling the story of Scylla's life through some of her greatest hits, including Alfie, Step Inside Love, Anyone Who Had a Heart. Are you familiar with those?
I am familiar with the OV, yeah.
Great.
I don't think we've got any VT on that, have we?
We do have, actually.
Well, let's have a look at that then.
If you love 60s music, come on down. You can have a sing-along, a dance-along, a little bit of a hand jive. And it's just a real nice tribute to the star that she was. And it covers all the way from the early 60s right up to the present day, and especially the 80s as well.
Looks brilliant. Luke, thanks very much.
You're welcome, Hugh.
See you again next week. Here's Dan with all the sport.
Grimsby Town manager Marcus Bignut is adamant he won't allow their season to peter out after admitting a playoff push would be very hard to achieve following last week's stalemate against Crawley. The Mariners have 8 games remaining in League 2, and Bignut says the remainder of the season will allow him to work out who and what will be needed to be more successful next season.
So for us moving forward, like I said, it's a real important end to the season. I won't let this season just taper out. There's still a lot to play for. Like I said, anything's possible. 3 wins in a row can change the landscape totally. And again, reiterating what I've said, we haven't done it yet this season. But is it possible? Of course it is. So we've got an opportunity to start that on Saturday. So we're going to do that. And at the same time, there'll be 1 or 2 players we're going to be asking questions of, and let's hope they can answer them.
Grimsby travel to Accrington Stanley on Saturday. They're looking to achieve a second successive victory on the road. Stanley themselves are unbeaten in 5 games, making them the form team in the league. Despite this, Bignut says the team will go there looking for 3 points. Bignut also confirmed that a couple of players wouldn't be available for Saturday, but wasn't willing to disclose who would be unavailable. However, he did confirm that Gavin Gunning is back from his concussion and is in contention for Saturday's trip to Lancashire. Hull City trio Alan McGregor, Andrew Robertson and Josh Timone have all been in international action. The latter made his England under-18s debut against Saudi Arabia in Doha last night, winning 2-0. He played the full 90 minutes ahead of the second game of the international break, where he's part of the squad that will face Croatia, also in Doha. McGregor played the full game of Scotland's 1-1 draw with Canada, while Robertson was a half-time substitute. The North Ferriby United manager Steve Howsham has been giving us an update on some of the injured players at the club. He says that midfielder Simon Russell won't feature again until next season, while a few of the other absentees may return sooner.
We'll probably just leave him alone and just make sure he's ready for pre-season. Brogan, we hope to see him, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. And Ross and Curtis definitely not as well. Ross Armstrong might just be a couple of weeks, so we'll wait and see on that one.
Scunthorpe United manager Graham Alexander has spoken to the press today and has accepted that their quest for automatic promotion will now be difficult. They currently sit in one of the 4 playoff places in League One, in 5th position, and face Bradford City on Sunday at Glanford Park, who are a place above them in 4th. The Iron will be looking to get their season back on track on Sunday after only 1 win in their last 5 matches, a win which was achieved in their last home game. A win would cement their position within the playoff positions. That game on Saturday is a 12:30 kick-off. On to rugby now, and Hull FC travel to the Wigan Warriors in the Super League tomorrow evening. Ahead of the game, Josh Bowden has said he hopes FC can continue their good run. Hull FC are currently on a 3-match winning streak and will be looking to turn that into a 4th come tomorrow evening. Also, head coach Lee Radford has said he hopes both Carlos Chumavi and Fetula Talanoa will be able to feature next week after both being ruled out for tomorrow's clash in Wigan. Hull KR are in championship action at home to Halifax on Sunday afternoon. KR are still unbeaten this season and will be looking to make it 7 out of 7 on Sunday. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks, Fred. To clarify, Piano Divas at Bishop Burton Village Hall on Saturday 25th of March. For now, until tomorrow, good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors. Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Good evening, you're watching SG News. I'm Hugh Riches. Coming up tonight, we'll have a roundup of the latest news headlines and all the latest sporting action ahead of the weekend. And I'll be reviewing the week's regional papers with my guest, Dr. Pip Carter of the Waltham Windmill Preservation Society. Northern Lincolnshire and Goole NHS Foundation Trust has been placed in financial special measures. It comes after the trust overspent by £18 million this year. NHS Improvement has made the decision in a bid for the trust to be able to meet the savings plans in the future. The forecasted deficit for the end of the financial year is £30 million against a planned deficit of only £12 million. The Trust, which runs Grimsby Hospital and Scunthorpe General Hospital, will receive a support package aimed at achieving rapid financial improvement while maintaining and improving quality. We may be talking about that a bit later. A 23-year-old man has been charged with possessing an offensive weapon in a public place after he was seen close to a mosque in Grimsby. Jake Jones was arrested following the incident on Wednesday close to the Grimsby Islamic Centre after he was seen behaving aggressively. Humberside police were called to the area at around 7:15 p.m. Jones remains in police custody pending a court appearance to be confirmed. The iconic poppy structure, Weeping Window, went on display in Hull today. It's at Hull's Maritime Museum in Queen Victoria Square until mid-May. The museum used to be the city's dock office, and it's now part of a lasting legacy to the city's seafaring past. The installation started life as part of the Blood-Swept Lands and Seas of Red exhibition at the Tower of London in 2014, which marked the centenary of the start of the First World War.
This is 1.2% of the representation of what was there at the beginning in the Tower of London. This piece is actually from there, and it was actually going from the Beefeater's bedroom and flowing down. But with it changing each location, it looks different. Slight logistics of this one were allowed to touch the building, so it doesn't actually touch it, it flows slightly off and curves round. And the reason it's here is because the building itself is one of the only ones left from the First World War that is significant background with the maritime history of the place.
Well, I think it's fantastic, and when tonight they get the floodlights on it, it would be absolutely exceptional. And I think it's another part and parcel of what we're trying to do in this city, bring more and more people into the city, because we are now known as one of the most up-and-coming culture areas of the country.
A new plaque has been unveiled in Hull as part of the Lord Mayor's 100 Centenary Plaques scheme. Sir Peregrine Pelham was a prosperous merchant of the city and also served as the city's MP, town sheriff and mayor during the 17th century. The plaques are being unveiled throughout Hull 2017 of 100 key figures who've shaped the city. Neil D'Souza plays Pelham in The Hypocrite, which is currently on at Hull Truck Theatre, and says he's learnt a lot.
When you do a play, you look into the character you're playing, and I obviously researched him, and I found out that he is a little bit of an unsung character, although in his time very, very influential. And as I was saying, he was the MP for Hull, but he also was a regicide. He was one of the MPs that decided about the execution of King Charles I. So he was very influential, and to do that, he must have travelled to my hometown in Putney, which is where they decided. It's St Mary's Church. So I kind of have a connection. I've followed this guy geographically a little bit as well. I've enjoyed being in the city enormously. It's an amazing time to be in the city, city of culture. There's so much going on here. Our play does 3 months in Hull, including rehearsal, and 1 month in Stratford. And I think what we've discovered is that Hull was unexpectedly the cherry on the cake, actually. We've had such a great time, and we've felt so welcomed, all of us, and we've had such a great time as a company as well. And the play is it's hilarious. It's maybe not strictly historically completely accurate. My character's a little bit of a comic character, I guess you'd call him. Well, not a little bit, a lot of a comic character, but it's allowed me to have a lot of fun.
2 other plaques were also given their first showings. University of Hull maritime historian Dr. Rob Robinson explains more.
2 people who signed King Charles I's death warrant who were from Hull. The other was John Alured. And John Alured, another important figure in the Civil War and in the aftermath of it. He was a colonel in the Parliamentary Army. He later, a big supporter of Cromwell, signed King Charles I's death warrant. The most fascinating character probably of all 3 is Matthew Alured, who was John Alured's younger brother. He was not only a very successful Civil War colonel, but he went on to help Cromwell capture the Scottish government after the Civil War. Later on in life, Alured turned against Oliver Cromwell when Oliver Cromwell assumed absolute power. Alured was first and foremost a supporter of Parliament. He spent a large part of his life in the political wilderness, but was around long enough to support William IV when he took power with his wife Mary from James II. At the Glorious Revolution. He really is a true hero of our time. He was a big supporter of the idea of Parliament having the vote for most of the people of the country.
It's wonderful to be here today at the Hull Truck Theatre and to be involved with this highly acclaimed play, The Hypocrite. And really, in a way, that tells the story of a piece of our history that is so important, that changed the history of this country. And Peregrine Pelham, John and Matthew Alured played such an important part in the Civil War in this country.
A new play opened in Hull today about the triple trawler tragedy of 1968. Senses of the Sea brought music, dance, drama and tragedy to the story of Hull's fishing industry. It's the first in a trilogy of shows as part of Culture of Five, Hull's Alive, staged throughout Hull in 2017. Time now to have a look through the week's papers with my guest today, Dr. Pip Carter, Chairman of the Waltham Windmill Preservation Society. Pip, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in. I take it the wheels grind slow but exceeding small. How is Waltham Windmill?
Very well indeed, thank you. We had our annual general meeting only yesterday, and the good news is that I was re-elected for a further 3 years.
Congratulations to you. I'm sure they're in extremely safe hands.
Well, I'd like to think so.
Is the mill healthy? I know there's always work going on there. Is it thriving?
It is indeed thriving. She really is a gem. I've been working with the Preservation Society for many years, many years, and slowly we've restored it from a completely sailless tower to a full six-sailed working mill producing flour.
And one can just go and visit and watch this astonishing pre-industrial processes.
Indeed, as you say, pre-industrial. Yes, indeed, it is. Although, in fact, as mills go, it's a baby. It was made in, or built, shall I say, in 1879, and it was one of the last mills to be built. I think there was another one built in Hertfordshire a few years later, but as mills go, it's a baby.
Well, it's a fascinating place, a beautiful place, and I highly recommend a day out.
Yes, indeed.
Now, I noticed a picture of a mill, not your mill here, but in the first story about places to visit in Lincolnshire.
This is the Bridlington Free Press, and there's a lovely picture a lovely picture of Skidby Mill. That's a six-sailed beauty. If you're driving north,
that's four-sailed, isn't it? The Skidby
sorry,
Mill.
did I say six?
You did.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Ours is a six-sailor. Sorry, this is a four-sailor.
Be competitive about it, Pip. But it is beautiful.
Lovely, and there she is. And it's about the only working mill in Yorkshire, which is a big old county, and it's really devoid of windmills almost completely. Whereas Lincolnshire, we pride ourselves of having a lot of mills, some 8-sailed, some 6, some 5, some 4. And we have one remaining post mill, but I'm getting too technical.
No,
sorry.
not at all. That's absolutely fascinating. But I was going to ask, as a windmill enthusiast, clearly, what do you think of the big new energy generating the windmills, the wind turbines?
Oh, I think they're superb. But the interesting thing is, why have they all only got 3 sails? It's always been a mystery to me, and I'm trying to work out why. All the mills in our country were post mills and built before 1700. And they were good, simple things, a box on a stick, and they would turn round. And they all had 4 sails, the lot. And then starting in the early 1700s, they began to develop more sails. But what mystifies me was why so many of them have 5 sails. And the turbine, so the question you asked is 3. And a lot of aeroplane propellers will be 3 or 5. But never 4. It's something to do with aerodynamics.
I think you're a windmill sail snob.
Shall we? Thank you for your lovely compliment.
It was meant as a compliment. Shall we move on?
Yes, please.
Very quick one. Just mention this.
Yes.
No, we'll not do the health one yet. We'll go on to the next one because you must be very quick about that. What's that? What was that one?
This one here.
Oh, that's it.
This is celebrating the rich heritage and architecture of churches. This is the West Lindsey's Open Churches Festival, which is the 21st one. Visiting churches, which will be open over 2 weekends in May. I love the pictures here, but the beauty of all
is that wonderful tomb there.
It's Snarford.
Yes.
Beautiful tomb, canopy above, 6-pillar.
We must stop for a moment. Pip, join me after the break. We'll have all the sports news, and I'll continue talking about the papers with the doctor. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, all the latest sports news with Dan. But first of all, still with me in the studio is Dr. Pip Carter from the Waltham Windmill Preservation Trust. But we were interrupted there. We were talking about some of the beautiful places to go in Lincolnshire.
Yes, the one I particularly like is the church at Snarford, which is a very small, inconspicuous church, but inside, absolute gems. This, in fact, is a canopied memorial with him and his wife, and looking through is on a wall is another curved arch with a knight and his wife.
The 16th century tombs are all very romantic, aren't they? The sort of couple always lie together, as if they've just woken up and they're expecting someone to bring them in a cup of tea.
Indeed, yes. I mean, it was a lovely period for. I mean, you go through the centuries, and at one point they were splattering the inside of the church and the centre with these sort of lovely images.
They're beautiful, absolutely exquisite. Sort of English Renaissance at its best.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Maybe something not at its best. You're a former GP in Grimsby, and this is a story about the National Health Service. We covered this one a little bit earlier in the programme.
Yes, this our local MP is quite rightly.
It's Melanie On.
Sorry, beg her pardon.
Melanie photograph here taken before she had her haircut. But go on.
The MP blames the government, quite rightly so too. Money is a nasty word, and certainly was when I was training as a doctor.
This is the North Lincolnshire and Goole NHS Trust has been massively overspending. This is what we were reporting earlier on.
They were, but they're probably overspending because they're producing and providing a good service, to the patients. In my day when we trained, money never came into it at all, but I suppose it does rear its ugly head and has to be restrained.
Well, perhaps you had the golden days of the NHS, though, but in a time when we're all living longer and happily, but there's a point where there will never be enough money. What does an NHS with enough money look like, or is it a permanent and futile fight against mortality?
No, I think that's a bit unkind. The reason the NHS is always in the state it has been, and it has been from day one, is the golden image of free at the point of application. We have never been able to afford this. A survey was done during the war, and they said, no, we can't afford it. In came the Labour government, whoopee, the NHS was born. They made an estimate when it started in 48 of a certain figure, and the amount of spending was ×6 from day one. And since then, it's just got progressively worse, just as you say, because we're all living longer, we're all having expensive operations, and equipment gets more and more complicated and more expensive. We should reintroduce, it would be horrified to most people, we should reintroduce small charges at the point of application. Go and see your GP, a £5, nothing.
Yep, well, fair enough. It will shock lots of people. It's just a matter of principle rather than of the cost, yes. I suspect.
They're always full of excuses as to why they can't do it. They can easily, and that is the answer, because it would stop people.
And there are lots of bothersome patients going for, for cosmetic operations and things like that, or people who just want to go in and have a chat and a cup of tea with a doctor, which is a perfectly charming activity.
Indeed, yes. We used to be called general practitioners. We're now called, GKs. We're gatekeepers.
Oh dear.
We try and stop the masses going to the hospital.
Gatekeeper, that's rather medieval, isn't it? It's,
well, that's it. You're no longer a GP, you're a GK.
What was the next story, Pip? I can't find it here. It's the...
this is the shoebox.
Yes.
The shoebox appeal. This is just lovely. This appeal goes out every year, and this particular one, where is it? Is based in Grimsby. And this year was a record. They had nearly 37,000 shoeboxes sent to the poor countries.
We covered this yesterday, I think, and it's not even necessarily that poor, the countries. The Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, and this is not famine conditions. But there are countries still in transition in their economies as well.
Exactly, and being naughty, I dare say, are we in the EU, which are about to leave, have been propping them up. I mean, to me, perhaps I'm very naughty, but,
No, not
to
at all.
me, we've got such a mix of countries in the EU, and how they can ever sort of meld together, I don't know. You've got this massive Eastern Bloc, which are, well, not very, very rich.
Well, 27 years ago, they were communist dictatorships
Well,
and
exactly.
occupied powers.
Exactly, yes, precisely.
But a quarter of a century is enough time to change.
Well, one would hope so. And then you've got, being very even naughtier still, you've got the Mediterranean lot, who manana is the key word, and you've only got to point to Greece, but there are others in similar fashion.
Well, I'm not a medical man, doctor, but I promise you that manana is the healthiest possible thing to do for your lifestyle. A siesta in the afternoon is a great aid to fitness. Anyway, I'm teaching my grandmother to suck eggs. Pip, thank you so much for coming in and looking at newspapers. Come back soon. Here's Dan with all the latest sports news.
Grimsby Town face Accrington Stanley tomorrow afternoon. Ahead of the game, manager Marcus Bignett has been speaking to us about the quality Stanley have to offer. But the Mariners' boss is going into tomorrow's clash optimistic of picking up the 3 points.
Very good footballing team, really the focus more than ever now is going to be more on us, and it's going to be about what we do. And there's a lot to play for, certainly. So, although I'm saying yes, the playoffs now seem a far distance now. The good old saying, anything's possible. So we've just got to keep making sure we can keep using that phrase. And so certainly until it's mathematically out the equation, we'll certainly harbour on those beliefs and hang on to that anything's possible mentality. So we'll be going to Accrington desperate for the 3 points.
Bignett also revealed that defender Gavin Gunning is back in contention to play tomorrow. However, he also said 2 other players will be unavailable, but wasn't willing to disclose who. They'll also be without defender Danny Collins due to suspension. Town will be looking to make it back-to-back wins on the road in the league against an Accrington team who are unbeaten in their last 5 games. And tomorrow's game in Lancashire kicks off at 3 o'clock. Elsewhere, Scunthorpe United face Bradford City on Sunday afternoon in a pivotal game in both sides' seasons. The Iron have tailed off in recent weeks, winning just 1 of their last 11 games, while opponents Bradford are in finer form, having won 4 of their last 6 in the league. The Iron will definitely be without Kevin Von Veen and Sam Manton for the game, while Matt Crooks will undergo a late fitness test before it. Connor Townsend could return after being out with a groin problem, and that game kicks off at 12:30 on Sunday. Hull City's Lazar Markovic is a substitute for Serbia this evening. He's part of their squad taking part in a World Cup qualifier against Georgia in Tbilisi. Meanwhile, Alfred Ndiaye was an unused substitute for Cameroon yesterday. His side drew 1-1 with Nigeria in Barnet. The North Ferriby United manager said he'd have snapped the hands off anyone who said his side would be in their current position going into the final month of the season. The Villagers are 8 points adrift of safety following Tuesday's 4-1 defeat at home to Tranmere. But Howsham is pleased with how his 100-1 outsiders have dealt with their first season in the National League.
If anyone said we've got 1 month of the season to go and we're still in with a shout, you'd have snapped their hands off, believe me. We had 3 players at the start of the season. We've had to regroup in the National Prem, and these players can hold their heads up high and say, we've got 7 or 8 games left. We've got an outside chance. Of still staying up there. Mathematically, we've still got a chance. Everyone thought by Christmas we'd have had no chance, and to go into the month of April with a slight chance, we'll snap your hands off and we will give everything we've got for the cause.
And the Villagers are away to Sutton United tomorrow. On to rugby, and Hull FC travel to the Wigan Warriors this evening in the Super League. Outside back Mahe Fanua is expecting a tough challenge from the Warriors despite their depleted squad. FC themselves will be without Carlos Tuimavave and Fatuli Talanoa through injury, while Liam Watts and Jansen Turgut won't feature due to suspension. FC can make it 4 consecutive wins in the league tonight with a victory, and that kicks off at 8 o'clock. And in the other half of the city, Hull KR are in championship action at home to Halifax on Sunday afternoon. Head coach Tim Sheens has made 1 change to his 19-man squad for the game, with Danny Addy replacing the injured Adam Quinlan. KR can continue their perfect start to the season on Sunday by achieving another win. And that one kicks off at 3 o'clock. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks, Dan. That's it for tonight. My thanks to Dr. Pip Carter for looking at the newspaper so brilliantly. If you have a story for us, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages, email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472315553. Please have a splendid weekend. Until Monday, good evening.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV Weather. Saturday will bring a bright morning, but clouds spreading south, followed by outbreaks of rain. Sunday will be mostly cloudy, with rain, but with brighter skies. It'll be dry Monday, with bright and sunny spells, and Tuesday will have brighter spells, with patchy rain in the west.
Are you looking for a new or used car? Whatever the weather, Trenton have you covered. Estuary TV Weather, sponsored by Trenton Motors.